What a mess. Welcome back for Tezos Technical Analysis. That's how I left off the chain link video. Oh my goodness. And I disappeared during the filming of that, by the way. I think my phone must have, I don't know, stopped recording me. These things happen. We'll get more reliable equipment over time. You know, when we hit 1,000 subscribers and all the rest of it, then it can fund that sort of thing over time. Whatever, we'll not worry about it. Hopefully I'm showing up for you just now. And let's take a look at the Tezos price action. And things has been really just fantastic for Tezos overall in the last wee while, like we spoke about. And in yesterday's video, we were quite enthusiastic about how the prices had managed to make it up to the 786 retracement point. But then also we were considering the fact that that's a 786 retracement point. You could see price turn around and around there. What have we managed to do is actually potentially even on this particular chart, which is Coinbase or Binance. Yeah, this is Binance chart, setting a new, almost setting a new all-time high versus the Bitcoin prices. In terms of where this candle actually managed to close, looking to the left, you can see it's right on line with where we were before. So we sort of equaled that. And the question becomes at this point, do we see this operating as a sort of overall double top, or we get a little bit of a correction in price action before potentially going back up the way? And we would have to look at that the third time we visited it, and at that point, have we got has something happened to the prices where you've had a sort of cup and handle type event happen, and then afterwards maybe go up and break past this general highs area? Could all that happen, and or will we actually just see the prices manage to maintain themselves at previous support areas, or whatever, and get a turnaround and potentially go on for further upside overall? What could happen in general with this Fibonacci retracement, which goes from our all-time high, that's there, to the swing low that we had, kind of says that we've made significant enough areas here in terms of retracements. This is wick to wick. In fact, maybe we should just look at this real quick, body to body. Yeah, let's just do that. Body and body. Yeah, so we've almost made the full 100% retrace area after that. Where would the 1618 then come in at? And that would be all the way up here at $4,000, and that would be great to go all alongside the sort of cup and handle continuation pattern, essentially, of this overall upward movement, as we've had enough second, third, fourth time chances to sort of consider whether or not we want to be in a bullish stance on the macro or not. That's a 12-hour. I'll go up to the sort of the 2A, 2 days, so you can see. So we've had enough chances to think about things, revisited our previous area over here in terms of the 2,400 area and come back up. So we've had a lot of time to think about all that sort of stuff in terms of prices. In fact, over here in the 2-day, you can see that we're just currently maybe perhaps setting in that higher high. Perhaps we could actually get a 2-day higher high happening in if we see prices closing above 3,790. So lots of positivity there, lots of good stuff. Looking here though between these two bits in terms of the divergence, you can see that there's would be divergence here on the go on the RSI. Should we come up here and actually set in a high? This is just equal highs at the minute, but there will still be actually divergent. Likewise with the MACD and the DMI, so that's not great. And the stochastics, well, the stochastics coming through for us here and saying potentially I could turn out to be not divergent, but actually with the way that these things flick around, that could still come in as being divergent here, depending on how it closes overall. So there's those things happening, which would tie well enough in with a cup and handle type idea. But do I feel like there could potentially be a little bit of like that could be a local high? I do feel so, kind of, but it depends. Again, just like we're saying, overall it closes above 37,000 here on the 2-day, means we're putting in a high overall. How will things pan out? And on the weekly time frame, you can see that there's a close today on Sunday above 3,500, means we're putting in a weekly high. Overall, the things are really quite bullish and have been great for Tezos for quite a while now. We do have to bear in mind as well that that as part of this process, we've seen when the highs have come in, then thereafterwards, looking towards the weekly time frame, that we've seen 30% drop down in price after that weekly high. After this weekly high, what did we see? A 30% drop down in price there. So, you know, of course, these weekly highs themselves were you know, a 50% increase in price away from each other, which is all kind of like makes you think that should the prices actually ever, you know, should we get a 1618 retracement, would it be so much of a shock to then thereafter see the prices come back down a 30% afterwards to say down to around about these areas again, having had that movement upwards? You know, well, that would just be in keeping with what we've seen so far in terms of the lifetime of this coin overall and whatnot. But you know, depending on how this thing here shapes up in terms of the weekly as well, just in terms of like, you know, we've had this sort of really distinct upward price action, but we'd have to go even higher to stop this from turning into some sort of wedgie type thing. Let's see, that doesn't really work very well there. What have we got here? An ascending, broadening wedge. You know, no, that's pointless. That's pointless for now. We'll just kind of look towards these other areas and stuff, and instead, that's pointless. That's just silly. We don't get silly. Actually, I've spoken about this enough here. Let's look down to the 4-hour time frame and see if we've got some divergence or whatever between these last two highs here, for example. And yes, and no, and yes. So what's the stochastics? I want to be the decider. Aha, look at that. It's kind of that in between divergence thing, you know, with the top and bottom. Now, so like, you know, there's this. So seeing the prices haven't turned around here a little bit at this particular price point isn't that much of a surprise given the potential for divergence between these last two highs. It's all good. We've got support potentially at the 21 EMA and we've got support potentially at the 50 EMA, and we've also got like things like these previous areas to look at for support or profit taking, or indeed identifying to ourselves whether or not this ends up being the sort of the high that gets the retracement there afterwards. You know, like the high here, as we were looking at on the weekly chart, where you can have the retracement afterwards. So we can sort of keep an eye out for all that. Obviously, things are at that double top area right now, so we can look towards that. You know, breaking past that on the daily would be good. We're kind of doing that at the minute on the 2 day. We'll just have to check in with it again in the future. This is the measured move that we spoke about recently. What's happened with it is we've had the full thing almost. Well, we never talk about on the channel getting the full measured moves. We don't like doing that. Instead, we always say that, you know, like because if the full measured move had it taking up to there, that's silly. Instead, we look towards our horizontal lines and whatever. What's happened is we've come close enough. It's close enough to this 290s area. Getting as high as what? 287 on the day, 289 I suppose overall yesterday. So you know, that was a good enough place in order to think that potentially you could get a turnaround. In fact, you're right into this golden pocket because there's a 618 retrace here. So there's plenty of reasons why the price could turn around there that we were already aware of. And where could we be looking to? Maybe 260 or so in terms of will this sloping upward sloping line here operate as any sort of, you know, support for us. In the meantime as well, there's the 50% on down at 250, and the 21 and the 50 EMA are both down there, 50 simple and 21 EMA down there at 220. I wouldn't want to see the prices actually drop below 230 really at the minute. If they had to drop down to 220, it could be bearable, but really don't want to see that, because overall, you know, you kind of just be coming back into this sort of channel area here. And I'd rather see it maintain above this area overall than to come back into this area, you know, so to speak. But if it did come back into this area, to maintain within that area rather than to go down below that, really is kind of the sort of the three ways of looking at that just currently at the minute. Let's go over to the HIP BTC chart where we had our channel on previously and see that we came up just past the 786 over here. And that line's at 258, is it not? Yes. So you know, like that could be like an area to look out for in terms of retracements. But what we've actually had so far is satisfactory. We've got our horizontal blue line on here on HIP BTC coming in at 272, came up above those areas, came back down to the 272 area and back up again since, you know. So I think this will be our current little sort of pivot point if we're looking at the HIP BTC exchange at 272 and seeing can we maintain ourselves above that area. We're getting in against these highs previously. We've actually, you know, setting in a price where we are right now. We'll be setting in this sort of higher high on the daily time frame compared to just here, but that was part of the downward trend. Really, we need to look towards that $3.13 area for our proper higher highs, and we know that there's of course Fibonacci flicked around a lot. Fibonacci retracement area in there, that 236. Now this is what we talked about like a couple of months ago, and we can go back towards talking about that again. You know, and looking back, actually, you know, that we've had the time to look back. Go down to 24-hour time frame. You can see we never opened and closed the 24-hour candle up above this 236 retracement, and that's what we spoke about then in terms of like the big picture and the bigger targets. And that's what we're going to start asking the question of again soon. Should we maintain this upward trend? You know, corrections along the way, sure, whatever. Just, you know, whether this is next week or next month or in 2 months doesn't really matter in terms of just the overall upward trend. You know, if we're looking towards things like that, that magnolia line there is the 236 on this huge hit BTC Fibonacci retracement, right? And going up the next targets in terms of just easy, sort of taking it easy, looking at targets on a Fibonacci thing without getting too carried away about the detail, 482. And the next target after that for the 50% retracement, $6.23. And then if you're going for a 618 on this particular crazy one, then you're looking up towards $7 and maybe 70 cents for that 618 golden pocket. Is that overall kind of a little bit nutso? Yeah, of course it is. It's fun though, but looking towards sort of another Fibonacci retracement we've got on here for different sort of ideas, you know, $4.44, where you've got the 1618, that would be a reasonable area where you could expect potentially to see a turnaround in prices and to come in and test that $4 price point again thereafter. Should we go up towards those areas, that would be interesting to see happen for us. But anyway, we know in terms of like sort of the next while, if $3 can become a reality for us, then we can talk about different things under a different scenario, different set of circumstances. This volume increasing is what you want to see. You know, when we talk about, if you're looking at all the other videos and we talk about the volume decreasing as the prices are going up and how that's not good, you know, then looking towards Bitcoin, for example, and seeing this recent trend where the prices, the volume's been decreasing, you know, bear this in mind as you're learning to trade and all the rest of it here. I'm not financial advice, I'm not financial advice. Of course, then look towards the contrast that you see here in the Tezos and how that's clearly sloping towards the upside. And I think, you know, there's lessons to be learned in there with that information. Okay, anyway, that's going to have to do. There's a Discord I've opened up, so join that, but fill up the community. Let's get people talking about the sort of the 4 coins that we look at on a daily basis. Of course, we look at 4 coins on a daily basis, so watch those other videos too if you're interested. They're Chainlink, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. I think they're probably the 4 most interesting coins in the overall alt scene. Crypto scene at the minute, generally speaking. Let me know what you think down below for the comments. I do bonus videos from time to time, and my yesterday's bonus video was a tutorial, so to speak, about USDT contract, linear contract on Bybit. And if you want, you can go ahead and watch that, and just so you can see some sort of me chatting about the Bybit exchange and why you could use it. But also, if you're looking to do any sort of trading on the Bitcoin pairing versus USDT, and you think that sounds interesting and you'd like to sort of practice or get to know that without having to really risk any of your own capital, then over the next couple of weeks, anyone who deposits 0.1 or 0.2 Bitcoin in there has a unique code with me because of the Rocky Outcrop thing. Because I said to them that I respect you guys too much to shill just the standard, so they give me a unique thing to sort of try and, you know, push, which is I get a $10 bonus if you join up. So first 5 people to do that, and over the next 2 weeks they get a 0.1 Bitcoin. If you deposit 0.1 in Bybit, you get $25 for free, and if you deposit 0.2, you get $50 for free, which is in addition to the $90 for free that they'll give you for doing various different sort of things in the reward hub over there. So well worth taking a look at. In terms of sort of the middle of the road scenario, depositing 0.1 Bitcoin would get you a bonus unique for the Rocky Outcrop competitions of $25. You get a $5 bonus from Bybit themselves for having deposited on your first deposit more than 0.5. You could then tweet at them and you'd get another $5. You could then use their take profit and stop loss features on placing an order. You'll get $5 for that, and by the end of that, it's that's $40 you'd get for free. You could then, even if you really wanted to, withdraw your money and trade with the $40 and see if you could make anything off the back of that. I don't know, it's up to you. I don't really care. Bybit got in touch with me to ask if I wanted to do it, and I thought, well, people do trade out there, obviously, and Bybit is a reliable exchange, so you know, if you're going to be doing it on there, then you could take advantage of that offer offer that's out there anyway. Otherwise, you know, whatever, it's all good. Thanks so much for tuning in. Join the Discord, give us all someone to talk to, and I'll catch you next time. Let's see how things go with the prices. I hope I've given you some clarity today, and it was kind of enjoyable to go back to the HIP BTC chart and take a look at the big picture again. Not done that in a couple of months, and it's always nice to see this magnolia line in here and ask that question: can we do it? Can it be done? And of course, all of that happens, by the way, at the same sort of times as you're putting in sort of all-time highs on the other exchanges. You know, like and given that most people are looking towards those other ones, they'll be saying all-time high on Tezos, you know, when the reality is it isn't an all-time high, because the all-time high is all the way up here. But people will be saying that, and that'll be good crack. Right, catch you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Thanks for joining me. Could be doing anything with your time, but you're here with me, and I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.